Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the ITV News for this time. I am Lawrence Osipo. Remember, you can watch ITV live online at www.itvradioNG.com/live. Follow us on our social platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, all at ITV Radio NG. President Bola Tinubu has disclosed that state governors have resolved on their own initiative to reduce the cost of transportation nationwide. He said that a joint federal state committee would be established immediately to ensure a cheaper compressed natural gas (CNG) translate into lower transportation fares to commuters from October 1st, 2026. In a personal statement titled "Cheaper Fuel Must Mean Cheaper Transportation Fares," President Tinubu governors move to cut transportation fares nationwide. The president said his discussion with the Nigeria Governors Forum on Thursday afternoon produced a firm commitment from governors to leverage the cost and the benefits of CNG and electric vehicles to bring down transportation costs in their states. He disclosed that the scale of the federal government's ongoing investigation in the energy transition through the presidential CNG initiative. Also, President Bola Tinubu has ordered a comprehensive reform of the Nigerian football following a sting of failure by the country's national team to qualify for major international competitions and tournaments. The directive came on Thursday as after the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) President Ibrahim Musa Gusau, General Secretary Mohammed Sanusi, and members of the Federation's Executive Committee resigned amid mounting pressure over the state of the Nigerian football. The NFF confirmed the mass resignation in a statement on Thursday, saying Gusau's decision was intended to pave the way for a comprehensive and orderly reform and the process to address long-standing institutional governance and developmental challenges confronting the game. Announcing the presidential directive, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said that Tinubu ordered the reforms to enable Nigeria to overcome its repeated failures to qualify for major regional, continental, and global competitions. The president attributed the persistent decline in the fortunes of Nigerian football to what he described as structural weaknesses within the system, noting that other sports had recorded progress following the restructuring of the sports sector under the re-established National Sports Commission. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas, had tasked strategic military commanders to develop initiative and critical thinking skills to combat transnational organized crimes. Defense correspondent John Turner reports that the Naval Chief stated this while addressing participants of the National Defense College Course 34 in Abuja.
Transnational organized crime and porous borders are among the major drivers making contemporary security threats increasingly transborder in nature. Neighboring countries have continued to share intelligence and strengthen joint military partnership to counter cross-border threats. Speaking while addressing participants of National Defense College Course 34 in Abuja, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas, says strategic military commanders must be innovative and critical thinkers to provide effective solutions to the evolving nature of transnational crimes.
You will be graduating into a complex strategic environment marked by geopolitical rivalry, rapid technological change, economic uncertainty, terrorism, insurgency, banditry, transnational crime, and climate-related pressures. Many of these challenges intersect and no longer respect borders. Consequently, strategic leaders must anticipate change, frame problems accurately, and make difficult choices with incomplete information while remaining accountable for outcomes. Above all, every decision must ultimately reflect national interest, respect human dignity, and remain firmly grounded in constitutional authority and law. Completing this course is therefore not the end of learning, but the beginning of greater responsibility, because your appointments henceforth will expect you to convert the knowledge gained into purposeful action.
The meeting between the course 34 participants and the service chiefs marks the conclusion of the 11-month strategic leadership course. From Abuja, John Taylor, ITV News.
Some participants at the 2026 Nigerian Bar Association NBA Annual General Conference AGC holding in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, have decried poor organization, inadequate welfare arrangement and uncomfortable venues, saying that the event falls short of last year's edition in Enugu, the Enugu State capital. Senior Advocate of Nigeria and former President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Dr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani, SAN, in an interim assessment described the conference as lackluster, uninspiring, and in several respects deeply disappointing. He praised last year's Enugu's conference for its organization, traffic management, and hospitality, saying a positive report from that edition had drawn a large turnout to Port Harcourt, especially among young lawyers. Other participants echoed concern over welfare and feeding. A video circulating among lawyers showed participants struggling to access meal at a food distribution point, sparkling reaction online, though it did not establish that meals were not generally available. The NBA had earlier said that registered physical attendees were entitled to lunch on each of the 3 conference days, with digital meal tickets introduced for access to food stations. The conference, themed Beyond Limits, is holding in its final days amid complaints about a decline in the intellectual quality of some activities in the conference. The crisis surrounding the recently released West African Examination Council WAEC 2026 results for school candidates has deepened following the allegations of glitches and irregularities by an official of the examination body. The head of the examinations at the WAEC office covering in Anambra, Olarewaju Fadehon, made the allegation in a now viral video, claiming that candidates who sat for the computer-based version of the exam were particularly affected. Fadehon alleged that the problems were noticeable around the release of the results, which he said was initially expected to be announced between August 3rd to August 5th, 2026, adding that WAEC had traditionally released results on Monday. According to him, the alleged last-minute adjustment affected candidates who sat for the computer-based examination, particularly in subjects including mathematics, English, and Igbo language. Further, he said that schools that invested heavily on computer-based examination facilities were also affected, alleging that some spent over 60 million naira establishing the facilities in anticipation of the transition to CBT. He urged the federal government and other stakeholders to investigate the allegations, stressing that the integrity of the examination body system was important to the future of Nigerian students. WAEC Head of Public Affairs, Moeshola Adeshino, is yet to comment on the matter. Just on to the ITV News at noon, broadcasting live on independent television. We'll take a short break to bring you more reports shortly. Stay with us.
From a quiet village to a modern town we celebrate today, this is the story of Okada and the man who made it possible. Once, Okada was a rural community. The roads were poor. Electricity was scarce. Schools, hospitals were far away. Our fathers and mothers walked long distances. But one man saw the future. One man said, Okada must grow, increase, advance, and move forward. His Excellency Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawau Ibinijin CFR, the Esama of Benin Kingdom, industrialist, philanthropist, and nation builder. Today,
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Devastating floods on the Nepal-Tibet border region have killed at least 472 people 48 hours after the disaster. Nepal ordered rescuers searching for survivors of the deadly flood to get to safety as it reported a debris dam which had burst in Tibet on Friday, bringing risk to new torrents. Emergency teams have recovered 472 bodies after a tsunami-like wall of water and mud crashed down on Wednesday, burying homes, smashing bridges and sweeping away vehicles in both Nepal and Tibet. More than 1,400 people are missing, including trekkers in the Himalayas and scores of Hindu pilgrims to Tibet's sacred snow-capped Mount Kailash. And in Norway, where Norway's king Harald the fifth have died at the age of 89, and the royal palace announced on Friday. According to Norwegian palace, Harald died peacefully at Oslo in Norway University Hospital in the early hours of Friday. Harald had been hospitalized in Oslo since August 17, 2026, while receiving treatment for hemolytic anemia. His conditions deteriorated in his final days, with the palace describing it as extremely serious on Thursday. Members of the royal family, including Queen Sonja, Crown Prince Haakon, and Crown Prince Mette-Marit, had gathered at his bedside as his condition worsened. Harald had experienced several health challenges in recent years, including infections and the fitting of a pacemaker. In February, the king was hospitalized while on a private trip to Tenerife with Queen Sonja after suffering an infection and dehydration. Following his death, his 53-year-old son, Crown Prince Haakon, automatically succeeds him as king and is expected to reign as King Haakon VIII. Flags at the royal palace in Oslo were lowered to half-mast as Norway began mourning the monarch, who had reigned since 1991 and was Europe's oldest reigning monarch. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store has paid tribute to the late monarch, describing Harald as a king who devoted his life to Norway and helped to unite the country during moments of crisis. The Norwegian government said it would meet with the new king at the royal palace following an extraordinary council of state. He was born on February 21, 1937, and became king following the death of his father, King Olav V, in 1991. During more than 3 decades on the throne, Harald was credited with modernizing the monarchy and making it more open and inclusive. Authority of Nigeria (FAN) has lifted its restriction on boat operation at airports, restoring passengers access to e-hailing service following widespread complaints over inconveniences and rising transport fares. The reversal followed the directive from the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo (SAN), who intervened after passengers and social media users raised concern about the disruptions. To the world of sport, where Edo Queens secured a place in the semi-finals of the WAFU B Women Champions League football after recording a 3-1 victory over ASCC Momassas. The Nigerian champions made a bright start in the encounter and were rewarded in the 23rd minute when Uluwakemi Adegbuyi opened the scoring. Doso Atume doubled Edo Queens' advantage 2 minutes before the break, giving Kennedy Boboye's side a comfortable lead heading into a halftime. ASCC's Mimosas responded strongly after the interval and pulled one back to reduce the deficit. Edo Queens, however, held firm before Oluebube Omajuku put the result beyond doubt with an 89th minute strike to make it 3-1. The Benin City club has now won their opening 2 matches in the competition, having trashed AS Guard National of Benin Republic 7-0 in their first group fixture. They sit top of Group B with 6 points and have already secured their place in the semi-finals. Boboye's side will round off their group stage campaign against Ghanaians outfit Ampem Dakwa Ladies on Sunday. And that's the size of our package on the ITV News for noon. Do well to join us at 3 p.m. for the World News. I am Lawrence Osifo, thanking you for watching. Good afternoon.
ITV, certainly the best.
As a parent, I have always asked, how can I prepare my children for the infrastructural development and socio-economic evolution of the next decade? With the ongoing speed of globalization, how can I position my children to perform excellently in a rapidly changing society? The answer is and has always been to give them a solid foundation. Academically, spiritually, and morally. Salvation International Preparatory Schools, with her team of highly qualified tutors, conducive environment for learning, state-of-the-art computer and science laboratories coupled with quality day and boarding facilities, is the place to be. For more information, contact 080-233-76135. SIPS remains the birthplace of leaders.
Hallelujah.